Hello and welcome. Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay? Let me know. Today we're going to talk about eclipses. I lost track of time this morning. I'm a few minutes late, so apologies for that. Great to see you all here. It's one of my favorite topics today. As you know, I love eclipses. Who are the mutable signs in the room? Mutables, I mean Geminis, Virgos, Sagittarians, and Pisces. If you are a mutable sign, wow, you are getting eclipsed. Okay, so I actually am going to explain to you a bit today of what these eclipses are all about. Great, we got a lot of you in the room already. I'll be taking questions too. So I guess I just want to start off with saying, wow, did you all feel the shift already with this Taurus new moon that happened a couple weeks ago? I mean, I felt a distinct shift in the air, like this is a fresh new start. Jupiter went into Pisces. That Taurus new moon was a game changer. Everything, there's a new quality of light. I'm already feeling the eclipse season. This new moon really felt like the ultimate new moon, like what a new moon should be. And yeah, in our luminary league, we all planned it with intentions during that, which was such an incredible practice. Shout out to luminary leaguers here joining me. Great to see you all. So a few things I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, this is about eclipse season, and I felt the need to come on and chat about eclipse season. It's probably, the most important event of the year. Though we're also going to talk about other things like the fact that Jupiter just went into Pisces and no mask. You don't have to wear a mask when you're vaccinated now, which is wonderful and very Jupiter and Pisces because, where Jupiter's in a water sign, which is more communal, coming together. There's a lot going on in mutable signs over the next few months. Jupiter and Pisces, the eclipses in Jupiter and Sagittarius. So if you are immutable, expect your life to change dramatically. Are you all ready? I hope you're ready for these eclipses. Okay, so I have my screen computer right here too, because I'm going to be looking at all of your signs as we go through them. And I invite your questions in as well. Yeah, so good to see you, Honoreo, Dana Bronfman. I love it. Great to see you all here. Okay, so let's see. I was looking deep into these eclipses today, and I found it pretty interesting to track the Saros cycle, which is basically the OG eclipse of a series. An eclipse is part of a family of eclipses, and those families last for a few thousand years. And so, this one started in 1075 or something like that. And then it finishes, in maybe the year 3000 or something. So it runs its course. And you can actually find these in the NASA website. But it runs a theme throughout our world and history. So an eclipse carries a theme with it. And this family of eclipses weaves in and out of our history. Every 18 years, a similar theme arises. So it's very important to look at the events surrounding this eclipse. There's going to be more things, but for example, look at what's going on right now in Israel and Palestine. Take note, because I can tell you that is a big part of this eclipse family and the woven dance it has since the year, I remember if it was 1075 or something like that. So if you track this eclipse every 18 years, you will see a similar event happening. However, astrology teaches us how we can be more mindful and how we can perhaps approach a similar thing in a different way. That's why I think astrology is really a study of compassion and mindfulness as well. We can see, look what happened last time this eclipse series, shook up. Can we do this more consciously? All right. We're dealing with the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius right now, which are signs of ideas and ideals. This is how the world should be. No, this is how the world should be. These very sometimes there's different sides, there's different ideologies and various air currents flying around. So what is going to happen is we will gain a new perceptual awareness. These eclipses are the signs of communication, and hopefully we are all learning new and more evolutionary ways to communicate. In fact, that is what the universal teacher is showing us. It's giving an opportunity for us all to learn new ways to communicate with each other. Therefore, we're given all of the challenges, the same challenges that repeat every 18 years. So I want you all to think what happened in your life in 2003, because that's the last time the Saros cycle showed up. Can you all turn the clock back for a minute? And while you do that, I'm going to just hop in my solar fire and pull up this eclipse too here. So the May 26th one and the June 10th. I think the June 10th one started in like the year in the 1600s somewhere. And this May one started in the 1000s. So they run their courses. Now, all right. Would you like me to go through the signs and talk about what's going on with each zodiac sign today? And any questions around eclipses? That was the plan, that I was going to talk to you about what's going on for each sign. Let me know if that's what... Oh, I see questions already in the chat. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So what I can say globally is that all of your lives are going to change a lot over the next 2 months. We are in eclipse season right now. That means there's a lunar eclipse on May 26th, and then there will be a solar eclipse 2 weeks later on June 10th. So you're basically in an eclipse season a month before and a month after these eclipses show up. All right. That means on the other side of it, your life is going to look quite different. You will need to probably release something that you deem as essential, crucial, security-oriented, something that you might think that you need. And I would challenge you that maybe you don't need that, because eclipses are about evolution. And to put it in a nutshell, the sun is light. There's many suns out there in our solar system, but each sun, each star encodes a different stream of light, and light is information. So when our sun is constantly shining light here on Earth, what's happening is we are receiving the intelligence of our light being, our sun, and we are moving to these stories and intelligences. That's our solar system is a part of. However, twice a year, something happens called an eclipse. Right? And I want to just break this down again to the moon. What the moon is essentially like the Earth's hard drive. It is connected to soul, and it collects information that happens on planet Earth. And it circles the Earth. It's holding stories of thousands and billions years ago. It's a karma collector, okay? Collecting, storing soul. That is the moon. This is the shape of the moon. An eclipse happens. Okay, solar eclipse, here's what goes down. The moon blocks the light of the sun, turns off the radio station of the sun. Sun's like, okay, I got to recalibrate. Got to turn that station off. And then that'll last around 7 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 10, around there. The eclipse happens. The radio station gets turned off. And then afterwards, a new quality of light emanates from the sun. And you are not able any longer to go back to those old channels, those old currents and ways. This is about evolution, and this eclipse will help expedite your evolution. So it's important to sort of ask yourself, what are you holding on to that might not be in your best interest? An eclipse will get you out of your comfort zone. Now, that is a solar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is when the Earth comes smack between the sun and the moon. It's like a full moon times 10. The lunar eclipse is the next thing that's happening very soon. So I was thinking we would dive into both of these eclipse cycles. Hold on 1 second, because I just want to pull up the eclipse right here. Okay, so I'm looking at my handy wheel, and I think it's important to note with both eclipses, they are both on the axis of communication. So you are going to be hearing new information, new things you were not aware of, and you should metabolize that information. Take it and let it transform your life. The lunar eclipse is in Sagittarius, so we're talking about an ending of old ideologies, old ways that you thought you had to live your life. These can be like philosophies, these can be belief systems such as, this is how I need to do business, this is how I need to do my relationship, this is how I need to treat my body. And maybe you're seeing the syncretic nature of all of these things and what can actually change and how your subconscious mind is really in control of this. So we're releasing thought forms, ideologies that were holding us back. It's a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. It is at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, so you will want to look in your astrology chart and find where 5 degrees is, ultimately. Does it affect your moon sign? It affects whatever planets you have near 5 degrees of Sagittarius and whatever house it falls in. So that's what you want to look at. So let's talk about the aspects to this eclipse. So there's a couple things going on that are important to note with this eclipse. First of all, one of the aspects to it is that it's trining to Chiron. So in essence, there is a healing tone that this eclipse has. It does feel like you're releasing things that were actually quite painful and not necessary, like old ways of thinking and doing, just running your life that were actually not evolutionary. So there's a healing. I like this eclipse. The ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in dignity in Pisces. This is a really good thing. What else do I want to say about this eclipse? It's also squaring Jupiter, so it will be intense. It is a total eclipse. Some are partial. This is like a full-on eclipse, and this is no joke. It will absolutely transform your life. So I do need you to leave your schedule pretty open and trust the process of releasing and change around May 26th. You're already feeling it. You already probably know that your life is going to change. Look to the house where Sagittarius rules in your chart and where 5 degrees of Sagittarius is, if any planets are near that, to find more information on that one. Okay, now let's move to the solar. The solar eclipse, and then I'll go through each sign. The solar eclipse is in the sign of Gemini on June 10th, and that is while Mercury is retrograde. Okay, and I have to mention, Mercury's retrograde. It goes retrograde the end of May. It's retrograde till around late June. So this eclipse happens in a retrograde. And everybody's like, oh, shouldn't I be starting something during a new moon eclipse? Well, yes, things are starting. You do not need to actually plan all these things. It's actually best to leave your schedule opened. But this retrograde will impact the eclipse a great deal because the eclipse is in Gemini. Mercury's the ruler. Mercury's in retrograde. This tells me that on the June 10th eclipse, yes, we are all moving forward with a new air current, a new idea, a new line of information. But in order for that to actually happen mindfully, you will need to scroll back in time and check out what was going on before in your life. There's something from the past that you will need to close up and tie up loose ends or discover something from before. There's something of whether it's an old career or an old relationship, there's a story from the past that you will need to revisit actually with this eclipse in order to move forward. And that's just signaling because it's in Gemini and Mercury's retrograde. Now, we're also going to see it's square Neptune. So you're not going to have all the information laid out clearly. You do not need to make decisions right away. Don't think of this eclipse as a new moon. A solar eclipse is a new moon, but a new moon times 10. It's not like new moon, just plan intentions, do all these things. No, there are much larger forces at work moving through you during eclipse season. It's like, it's not even up to you here. It might feel like we're running the show, but during eclipse season, we realize we can release the grip and there's actually something larger magnetizing us towards different realities. So it is important that you do manage to release the grip and release the stories that your mind thinks of how your life needs to be. So because of the square to Neptune, we're seeing just wait till that fog lifts. Not everything will be clear, and it might not get clear till the very end of June and early July. It might take a while for everything to shake out because of this retrograde during the eclipse season. So don't think that reality is at any point, oh, this is it, let's make a 5-year plan. No, this is not the time to make big life plans because everything is shaking up. Got it? Makes sense? Let's see how y'all are doing. What time frame from past? What Saturn? That week. Okay, good. I love that Honoria has nothing scheduled that week. You need to create space for the messages to deliver. And that is basically sending a signal out to the universe that you're honoring the cycles of nature. When you honor the cycles of nature, they actually speak more loudly to you. That's how it works. So it's a conversation. Everything is a relationship. You're building your relationship to nature. When you honor these eclipses, they will deliver. If you have your life packed to the brim, there will not be room for this eclipse to deliver. It's sacred magic. All right, I want to go into perhaps a bit about each sign now, if you'd like. And we can give a message to each sign around these eclipses. Does that sound good to you? Let me know. Yeah. I see you have to look at the planet 5 degrees of Sag conjuncts in your chart for the lunar. Now for the solar, you're going to look at what 19 degrees of Gemini, and I would give it a plus minus 10 degree window on each one. Plus minus 10 degrees, okay? That means it could be 10 degrees Gemini, or because the eclipse is at 19. And see what house it's in, of course. I want you to listen for your sun and rising as we go through these. So how do you know where 5 degrees Sag is in your chart, or 19 Gemini? You can use the free chart calculator on my website. Go to the link in bio. All right. That's a deal? Yeah. Let's do it. So I'm immutable. I mean, I love these things. I love these eclipses. I love change, and I love to welcome an eclipse season because change is good. Change is always a good thing. Sometimes though, when you go through too much change in a short period of time, that could feel traumatic. You always need change and a break. There's a flow. You don't want to keep on ever expanding and ever changing, because that's sort of like analogous to like becoming an obese person or an obese economy. You know, like you don't want that. You want a balance here. So you want to make some changes. You want to breathe and rest. You want to make more, and you really do want to create that balance. So make sure if you do create a lot of changes, you recognize and you have time to calibrate to all of them. Okay, we'll start with Aries then, and we'll start with some of these eclipse messages. So with the Aries eclipse, we're really talking about the axis of communication. First, the lunar and Sagittarius. The focus is on your learning, your education. Perhaps you are starting to write this year, you're writing a book or going back to school. I do feel like it is about your networks and your communication. What you're having to release, Aries, is the old way that you thought you had to do life. Maybe you thought, oh, I need this certificate, I need that, I need to go through this. You're having to release the stories of how you thought before you had to do things, because you can throw those to the curb. Wolfie Dances is going to grad school. That's great. It's all about that for you. You'll have a lot of luck with going back to school and any endeavors around writing, publishing, things like that, Aries. But you're having to release the old stories around that and who you thought you were going to be, maybe. Okay, so let's go into the next sign. Taurus. What we're talking about here is releasing how you saw money and how you saw your own self-worth, because you're needing to actually invest in what you find valuable. And as you do that, your life is going to change quite a bit. But you're having to live more courageously, take a risk around money perhaps, see yourself as worthwhile, and make an investment in yourself. As you cultivate that, it's like cultivating a hobby, something that you like doing, and your income will increase. But first you're having to change your mental story around worth and money, Taurus. The way you see yourself. Okay. Got it? Gemini time. All right. All right, Geminis. Okay. First of all, this is clearly about relationships for you because it's on the axis of partnership. So if you're a Gemini, you're in a relationship. How's it going right now? How is your relationship going? Okay, there's a lunar in your partnership house. This means it is the ending time for a business partnership or romantic relationship, or the end of the way it has been going, because you're ready for a new level of evolution within the context of that relationship. Now, if you don't make the change, well, that's okay. The change is happening anyway. It's happening. There's something so ready to evolve in your relationship. And this is so that a new, brighter, more resplendent version of you can arise. This is the solar eclipse in Gemini. This is about a rebirth for you. All right, it's very exciting when there's an eclipse in your own sign, because you are the rebirthing one, you know? The whole zodiac's actually looking at you right now, Gemini. Geminis and Sag too. Sag is going through the lunar. Sag is, as the parts are burning off. All right. I'd love to hear your eclipse stories, Gemini, later on. Okay, let's talk about Cancerians. So what we're going to see here for the Cancerians in the room, your body. You're needing to establish a new relationship to your body, Cancerians, and you're needing to release a health habit, a way that it's almost like, you were treating your body in a certain way that's really not good for you. Maybe you need to stop something that you were doing because it will be in the way of where your soul needs to evolve to. Your body needs to be a clear vessel, and sometimes we can be caught up in a habit, a mental habit, a physical habit that's actually holding back our evolution. Now, as that happens, the solar eclipse shows up in your 12th house, so it's time to create new stories. Cancer, it's time to create new stories. Stories you tell yourself. The stories you tell yourself are the stories you believe, are the stories that run your life. Do you have a story that's on repeat, that's been like playing for like 20 years? Story about your love, story about money, story about anything. This is actually a time for you to let go of those stories, okay? Are you with me, Cancer? It's a mental and emotional shift. You're going to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So this is the best time to make those changes right now. In terms of your relationship to yourself, the most important relationship of all. Okay. Leo risings. Again, we're talking about sun and rising when we go into each sign. The lunar is in your 5th house. So what we're going to see for you here, a couple things. The first one has to do with love. All right, your stories around love. So it does feel like, in a way, this is about a romantic relationship. It could be about a creative project. It could be about a child. But we're seeing there is, if something needs to end, it will. If it's been long overdue, Leos, it will dissolve if it needs to. if it needs to change shape, it will change shape. But this is a letting go of the way things were. Because what was the deal is not going to be the deal anymore. That can't go on anymore. Okay? So you're releasing the grip on what was. And that's a really good thing to do. Because sometimes we get addicted to a pattern. So like there's physical addictions, there's emotional addictions, there's mental addictions, right? There's all kinds of addictions out there. And I see there could have been just an addiction, a way of things going emotionally in your life for this long. That's just how it is. Well, no, it's eclipse season, not anymore. As that happens, as you release the grip on that, so it's almost like, let me just explain this. Break time for all the signs. Okay. For all the signs, if, how it's really important that you start to see your past differently. I mean, I'm not saying make up a story about your past, but the way you see what's happened is what becomes the future. Your perceptual awareness is everything. So it really will help you. It's beneficial to you to create a new story about your past and not see it as a story of misadventures or something like that, but otherwise to see it as a story of teachers and accomplishments and lessons, and see yourself as the hero on your own journey. Rewrite the narrative. Exactly, Sunny. Because that's probably one of the best things you can all do, no matter what member of the zodiac you are during eclipse season, is to rewrite your narrative. If you want to evolve quickly and you want to metabolize this reality efficiently, you're going to have to see your past differently. And sometimes people like to talk about, oh, this happened, or that happened, or this happened. And that might not be, like, if you tell your story like that, let's say the past, you're telling it like this, well, then it keeps going like that into the future. But if you actually can start to see it as like, well, this happened, and this taught me that, and that happened, and this taught me this. And then you end up on an upwards trajectory in life. Okay, it's really important how you see your past. I see some of you are already doing that. You by Design says that's exactly what I did today. I wrote down all my accomplishments. Yes, write down all your accomplishments. Write down your epiphanies. Write down those major lessons and teachers in your life. This is probably the best exercise you can do during eclipse season. All right, because that will open up a myriad of possibilities for your future. New paths will start to form when you start to see your past differently, because you're training your mind how to think, and how you think is how your future develops. And that's a habit to get into. Okay, so, all right, that was a bit of a digression, though. We'll continue on with Leo. Leo's solar eclipse is in the 11th house. So what we're going to see is a whole new beginning in terms of how you collaborate with community, how you work together with other people, how you see yourself in the world and the role you play globally. Maybe you're thinking of being a part of more humanitarian groups. Maybe you're thinking of collaborating, joining forces with others, seeing how does this help the world at large, stuff like that. I love the idea of a higher vision for you and seeing the why behind all the things you do in your work. And maybe you re-strategize your life in that way. Yeah, Sarah and the stars. How you think is how your future develops. Exactly. How you think is the most important thing here. So you can control that, right? You can choose. Eclipse season will challenge you. It will give you events that will trigger all kinds of reactive responses. They could trigger fear, trauma, let's hold on, but it's your choice how you're going to react, All right, Virgos. Virgo's lunar is in the 4th house, the base of your chart. So if you're a Virgo, you might be thinking about your home quite differently now. Maybe you're releasing the grip on what was home. Maybe you're thinking of selling a home, buying a home. You're thinking about being more bicontinental or bicoastal, or doing something different. Releasing the grip on what you saw as home. Okay, what you will begin, Virgo, is a new career path with this eclipse cycle, the week of June 10th and 2021. This year has a lot to do with your career development and moving forward along. It's growth. It's not a lateral move. And you might even be changing careers, perhaps. You could be changing careers or moving up to a new way of doing your current work. But it's a move up. Okay, let's see where we're at. How are y'all doing? How do the eclipses interact with Pluto and Capricorn? Not that much. Okay, so let's talk about Libra. What we're going to see here is the lunar and the 3rd solar in your 10th. So one of the main things happening for you, Libra, is about there's a way that you've been speaking and communicating to somebody, a way that this conversation has been going that's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting them either. It's not benefiting anybody. There's a different way to approach this conversation. There's a different way to do this, Libra. There's also a chance that you could be signing off finally on a contract, something you've been long awaiting in your life. And what we do see very strong for you, Libra, this year ahead is educational development, is learning. There's a whole lot of learning, education. Maybe you're going to launch a course. Things like that look really good for you. Yeah, I see a lot of Virgos here that are starting new work. Okay. I like international travel for you too, Libra. Okay, Scorpios, how do you feel about eclipses being such a fixed sign? Do you like the change? I mean, it's interesting. Scorpio's a fixed sign, but it's also the sign of catharsis, of death and change and rebirth. So it's fixed, but it's both pieces, right? All right. Who are the Scorpios here? I'm so curious. All right, Scorpio. What you're having to let go of has to do with an old form of security. Perhaps something that used to pay you, give you money, and provide sustenance in your life. That can sound kind of scary, I know. So perhaps it's that. Perhaps it's also the idea that you're letting go of an old way of seeing yourself in the world. And what we see beginning for you is a new way of seeing money and seeing your reality. Like maybe you invest in something, maybe you get involved in crypto, maybe you want to, just other ways of seeing your worth and value that are not equated to your paycheck. Like it's really important that you develop and you kind of disentangle these things of like money and self-worth, and you're needing to actually focus on what you like what gives you value, what you enjoy. And that there might be other things that you explore this year. I think there is a whole new financial model to explore for yourself as well. Yeah, I see Scorpios in the room just started with a money coach. Yeah, that's great. It's a great year if you're a Scorpio to rethink finances. Absolutely. There's a whole new approach. And this year, you will move mountains financially. I remember back in 2015 when I had eclipses in those houses. Wow, that changed my whole financial picture completely. You'll do that. Okay, Sagittarius time. So Sag is the next sign that's getting eclipsed. Okay, it's going to be in going to be in your first house. What you're releasing. Who are my Sagittarians here right now? I see so many Scorpios releasing money stories. Beth Oeka says, I'm moving out of the lack mentality towards money. The door's open. Yeah. I mean, this is sort of, it's huge. Yeah. Okay. So Sagittarian, you are burning up the crops in the area of self and how you saw yourself in the world, what you thought you needed to be. It's like you're releasing a layer of self. It's interesting when there's a lunar eclipse on the house of self, because it's almost as if you do take off a layer of skin, and after that you don't want to be in the same relationships anymore, because you're like, I'm more authentic, I'm more me now, and you realize the facades that were playing out, and you're like, that's no longer acceptable, that's not acceptable, no more of that, no more of this. You are changing so much, becoming more real, more raw, more to the point. Where your new beginning, Sagittarius, is happening is in partnerships. And I do think you need to be mindful about this, because since you're changing so much, well, if you're in a partnership, obviously that's going to change too, because your part of the puzzle is changing. There could be a new partnership developing in your life, and if it's not a new one, your current partnership has to change shape completely. It needs to evolve because you're evolving. Both of you are evolving. Can your partnership evolve along with you? Is it evolutionary? How are you Sagittarius doing? Yeah. We need to have a regroup here in a couple weeks where I'll take people on live from all the signs, and you can tell me how it all's going down. We'll chat about that. Okay. Caps. All right, Capricorns. What you're letting go of, Capricorn, and Capricorn rising, has to do with an old subconscious story, something you were telling yourself. And what that is, could be a whole variety of things, but it's probably some kind of limiting belief that was inherited, either ancestral, tribal, familial, whatever. It could just be something that you were taught, maybe something you grew to believe. But it's going to feel very freeing. When you have a lunar eclipse in your 12th house, it's good. It's good because you begin to actually realize what's running the show, what was under the surface. And you release thought forms. You release patterns of the subconscious mind. What you're having to, where you're starting a new Capricorn, is in new practices, new ways to treat your body. And these two go hand in hand. Because as you start to think differently, and you start to see all of the cells in your body working together, and the different communities that need to interact in your body, you start to see your reality differently too. You start to treat your body differently. And you see how you treat your body is your relationship to the world. The new beginning is about health and habits. This is a big year of health for you and new habits to form about your routine. Your body needs attention. It's a great year to hire a new team, to get into really healthy routines, to pay more attention to your quality of life, Capricorn. Okay? We have two more signs. Okay, Aquarians, who are you? I'm having, I think, a little bit of allergies. I haven't had them in years. They're coming back this year. All right, Aquarians. It's interesting when there's a lunar eclipse in the 12th house, because it does feel like, I don't know if you're releasing, lunar eclipse in your 11th house. I don't know if you're releasing a certain friendship or relationship with a group of people, but what I'm seeing for you is there's a certain group of people or a certain way of, could be one person or a group that you've been connecting with, and those people actually are not in line with the way you're growing anymore. That's okay. It's okay to not see them all the time and not connect. Probably you both have learned a lot. And over the last year, you know, with all our reactions to the pandemic and COVID and vaccines and this and that, didn't a lot of us have like big realizations and who are our true friends and who's like who are our people and who are not? Like, I feel like a lot of us got super clear on that. I mean, everything has, you know, any conversation that comes up, like, what are our reactions to this whole Israel-Palestine thing? What are reactions to masks and vaccines? And don't you learn so much more about your friends right now than you ever knew in your life? How people reacted to the protesters or Black Lives Matter riots and how people saw all of that. That told me a lot about people, their perceptual awareness of these things. You know, I learned a lot. I'm sure you all did too, right? So, right, so we all might have like shrunk our circles a bit, but those people that we realized that are our friends became like, you're my people, you're my true people. And I think this is a message for Aquarians to really connect to those people. You don't have to just hang with people because you've known them since elementary school. Like, if their viewpoints and things like that really are an insult to who you are and what you represent, you have no obligation. You have no obligation to be around and to connect to people that really are not in alignment with you. So you can free yourself of that too and really focus on what is. On the other hand, Aquarians, what I do see for you is a new beginning in love. And this is something I like for you a lot. I see this as a year of blossoming creativity, of new love, sweet Page of Cups love developing. Yes, sweet love. And if you're in a creative endeavor, like music or the arts, I think you're in a good place to create, have fun with your creations. You'll do quite well in there, in that space too. Okay? Yeah. And family too. Yeah, you know what? Right. And it's actually back to the other topic, like drawn some divides with family, I know. And that's so challenging. It's been so challenging for a lot of us. Onoreo says, so how it affects our natal in the house in that sign, Sag in the 10th house? Wait, I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, you all are talking. All right. But yeah, we all got so clear on this, right? Okay. Pisces time. Pisces. All right. Wow. Let's celebrate Jupiter's in Pisces. Is that not just so delicious? Like, I am thoroughly enjoying Jupiter in Pisces. I just feel more relaxed, feel better. Pisces, let's celebrate. Jupiter's at home. Can I tell you, when a planet's at home, there's order. Like, you know that things are going to land, they're going to shake out how they need to. Like that, like Saturn's in Aquarius, Jupiter in Pisces, you know, things are coming back to some form of order. It's good, right? It feels a lot better the last couple months. Okay, so welcome Jupiter into Pisces. This will be a time of much greater socializing over the next few months. It's a good, sweet summer. Pisces, you're letting go of an old career story. You're letting go of what you thought you had to be doing in your career. Because what's needing to happen first, it's interesting how home and career are interconnected. I always think of the analogy of like a plant in a pot and the need to get that plant into a field. Pisces, if you're living in a place, if you're surrounded by people, places, and things that are cramping your style, there is a signal that you actually need to change your environment. Need to surround yourselves by different people, places, and things. Perhaps you need to actually move because that will impact your career too. So we do see the potential of a move for you with this eclipse season, Pisces. And how, when we take a plant out of the pot and grow it into a field, it can establish deeper roots and grow much taller. And your career changes because your home changes. What's in your vantage point changes, what you see every day. So I do see you releasing an old way of doing your career. And a lot's coming up there. You know, you reach certain plateaus, like where do you want to go from here? You're not going to stay with the old trajectory anymore. There's a new up level. But first you're going to need to address the foundations and roots of your life and change the home, get the plant out of the pot, get it into a field to establish deeper roots. Start to see home differently. I don't know if this is like a New York thing, if it's an everywhere thing, but us New Yorkers, we kind of move a lot. But I realize whenever you move, even if you move 3 blocks, everything changes. Your bodega, your laundromat, your whole life changes when you move just 3 blocks in New York. And when you move, like your career changes too. Everything shifts. And that's what I see happening to you, Pisces. Like a move will change your whole life, will change every part of you. Okay. So look, there's a ton of change in the next few months, like more change than we've seen in a while. Now we think, okay, 2020, that was a lot of trauma. That was a lot of trauma, collective trauma that has not been seen, that had been the sediment at the bottom of the ocean. And I feel like 2020, we shook up that Christmas globe. All that stuff that was at the bottom came up. We had to see all of the systemic racism, all of what's been going on that had been unaddressed in the 80s, 90s, and all these years that we hadn't been looking at. So that was a year for all of the trauma to come up. Now 2021, all right, it's there. We're still getting privy to more of it. However, what's coming up right now, this is a cycle of rapid change. Rapid change in as far as the way we communicate ideas, how we communicate ideas, how we work. It's more in the how we do things. Okay? So it's less about what you're doing, but how you're doing it, the energy behind it. With the eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius, I want you all to think more about your thought patterns, because when eclipses are in Gemini and Sag, the mental body, the unified field that connects our minds, is totally fired up. So what you're thinking, don't think that doesn't have such an impact on your health and your community and everything. Your relationship to your thoughts is so important. Your relationship to your mind, your body, your thoughts, it is all connected. I will also say, if anybody is interested, if you love astrology, I'm going to be doing a free webinar next weekend at the same time, Sunday at 2:00. It's in my link in bio. Sign up for that free webinar. It is all about your body and the stars, how to stay in optimal health based on your star sign. And also we're going to talk about how emotional patterns manifest in the body and what that means astrologically. How you can look at your chart as a map of your body, how you can understand the mental, emotional patterns, how they create physical stories, and how to heal those. Medical astrology is probably one of my favorite topics, and it's what I wrote a book on with a doctor a few years ago. So I invite you to all join me in that. Next Sunday, same place. Same time, different place. We'll be meeting on Zoom. So you got to sign up in my link in bio. It's a free webinar. It's going to be fun. Anyway, so I hope you got a lot out of this eclipse season live. And thanks for joining me here. It's been so wonderful to see you all. I see Debbie took the class last year. You loved it. So happy to hear that. I wish you all a graceful journey through this eclipse season. May it bring you evolution, light, new beginnings, releasing what's been holding you back. May you move forward gracefully into your destiny. Thanks for joining. Bye.